a podcast about amazing people from an incredible state. Join Mike Broomhead for Amazing Arizonans, presented by Resolution Copper. Copper is essential to Arizona's economy and to America's future. Learn more at resolutioncopper.com.
Another episode of Amazing Arizonans, where we choose stories from right here in our state that you're not going to believe. Really incredible people doing incredible work. Latasha Causey is here, the president of Phoenix Raceway. Do you still get people that call it by its old name?
All the time.
Yeah.
PIR.
Did it take you time to get past that?
No, I've always called it Phoenix Raceway, just in my engagement with the Raceway,
Right.
but everyone else, PIR. And so we answer to either.
Okay, good. And so I'm going to bounce around. These conversations, I want to be structured, but I just can't seem to stay structured.
Yes.
But I want to start with Phoenix Raceway. Well, I moved here 30 years ago, and I know you're a native.
Yeah.
When I moved here, Phoenix Raceway was in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And then there was 2 lanes in and out, so race day traffic, because NASCAR is so popular,
Yes.
it was a nightmare for that day. But now the world has moved into your neighborhood. I grew up in Florida.
Yeah.
Daytona is right in the middle of town.
Yes.
The Raceway. It's getting similar to that for you, isn't it?
It is getting very similar. So like you said, I mean, us being in the city of Avondale, the Raceway just kind of pops up right out of the mountain. But now the development has been an amazing thing. I mean, there's so many houses, there's so many people out there. We also have figured out our traffic plan as well. And so it's not as bad to get in and out of the Raceway. There's been some road expansion there in that area as well. And so we really have had great partners with the city of Avondale, where they really have worked tirelessly. I mean, the Raceway just celebrated 60 years last year. And so the city of Avondale has truly worked tirelessly to really, like you said, bring the city to us. And so we're glad to be great neighbors with the folks that are there.
That's my next question.
Yeah.
Do the neighbors love it?
Yeah,
They have to.
Yeah, the neighbor. We do have some really great neighbors. I mean, of course, on occasion you get the one out of nowhere where you're like, oh. But I mean, outside of that, I mean, we have had some phenomenal neighbors there in that area. And with us being good neighbors, we offer tickets to them, all of that kind of stuff. We make sure that they know we're coming, just in case they missed it all over the place. Right, the 2 times per year when we are here, we make sure our neighbors are. Send them a letter and let them know. And again, we always invite them to come hang out with us as well.
It's interesting. Now, these are my words, not yours, but it fascinates me. I've watched the expansion out in the West Valley around Luke Air Force Base.
Yes.
And so you buy a home near an Air Force base, you can't be surprised by airplane noise.
No.
So if you buy a home near a NASCAR raceway, you can't be surprised by race cars.
No, that's exactly right. It's definitely when you're buying the home, the noise ordinance is definitely there. I happen to live by Luke Air Force Base and know firsthand that the noise ordinance is there. And the same thing with the Raceway. It's there, and I know it's there because we review and we've seen it. And so we make sure people know, right? They know that it's there, and they know that when NASCAR's in town, it's loud, and it produces hundreds of thousands of people that are going to come to the Raceway during that week.
You, in doing my homework and people talking about you, the word trailblazer keeps coming up. Talks about what a great community activist you are, how great you, and I applaud you for looking through your resume of the things you've done in community service. But what is it? Is that significant to you to be the first African American woman in your position? Is that significant to you, or is it just the next step in your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. Certainly it's significant to me. It's not the only thing about me, but it is significant. And it's significant, Mike, because it's representation. And we know representation matters. It matters for young girls who are like me and who seek to one day be something that, it's not common to be in a space like I'm in, right? To be, NASCAR, to celebrate over 75 years of NASCAR, and for me to be the first, it is a big deal. But that's not what got me there. Just because I'm, the black woman who runs the Raceway, that's not why I got there. It was really my work and the work that it took to get me there, and also somebody else believing in me to take on this opportunity.
And I will tell you that everybody I've talked to said they are so lucky to have gotten you to take this job, that you were so sought after and so well respected in every industry you've been in. So let me ask an obvious question then. someone that sat in that chair and done this podcast with me is Eric Moses.
Yes.
How much was there a conversation with him, being the former president of NASCAR himself? Was there conversations with him about this role?
Yeah, so, ironic timing with Eric. So as I was taking this on, he was taking on his amazing role at the Fiesta Bowl. Eric has been a gracious friend. He's been phenomenal. When I was going through this process, Mike interviewed NASCAR probably more than they interviewed me. I was asking a lot of questions to folks who had been there for a very long time, a lot of questions to people who were unique, like Eric. Being the first in his space. And so Eric and I had some great conversations, and he was fully supportive and very honest, right? About, hey, here's the world that we're going into. And again, don't forget, it's not because you're black, right? It's because of what you bring to the table. And he has been so helpful along the way. And it was perfect timing because, as you said, I'm a Phoenix native. He was moving to our market. And so I said, hey, you help me out with NASCAR. I'll help you out with the community. Yeah. And so, again, he's been a great friend and doing phenomenal work at the Fiesta Bowl.
And so I know, and I will tell you, the focus should not be on the fact that you're the first, but there is a significance to other people for that. Yeah. So the questions you're asking, I'm sure you walk into a space confident, just like he did, coming in knowing I'm going to do a good job and people are going to accept me as a good leader. But there are others that are looking at you as a role model, and you are that trailblazer, because my sister-in-law is a deputy, and she's been a deputy in Florida where I grew up for years. But at the time, there weren't very many women that were cops.
That's right.
And until she met people that had done it, does it click for you that it's a reality, it's not just a dream? Yes. And you're that for a lot of people.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's making people aware of, again, what's possible, and that the reality is that you can be in these spaces and places that people don't expect you to be.
Right.
Like your sister-in-law, and as well. I mean, so while I'm the first black female to be in this role, there's still only 4 females that are running tracks. And so I say only, it's progression. It's a great thing. For a long time, it was the previous track president that was at Phoenix, Julie Giese. She was the Lone Ranger, right? Taking it for the girls. But now there's more of us, and now we are evolving, but it's still a very unique space for us, even just as a woman.
Is there a sorority?
Yeah. Yes. Of course there is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, we all support one another. And so when we are, NASCAR is on the road. We're on the road from February to November, 38 race weekends. And so when we're all together, we're all in the same space. You mentioned Daytona. We all go to Daytona, and yes,
How could you not?
Yes, we're all having girls' time,
That's
dinners,
so
and all of that. So supporting each other.
What was it then? Like you said, you interviewed NASCAR more than they interviewed you.
Yeah.
What was it about this job and what they said that made you want to take it?
Yeah, there were so many things. There were so many amazing people along the way, to include Steve Phelps, who now is the commissioner of NASCAR, but at the time, the president of NASCAR. As I was going through this, again, I asked questions to everyone, but when I talked to Steve, I said, hey, tell me the truth about NASCAR. Tell me, what is it? What is going on with the sport? All the things. And Steve is probably one of the most honest and transparent leaders that I've ever met. He was very matter of fact, very direct. And when I asked the question of why would NASCAR want me to be in this space? And when I asked the DEI questions, all of those things, Steve was, again, very matter of fact of, hey, listen, this is not about, getting rid of any of our fans that we have now. I mean, NASCAR has some of the most loyal fans. This is about integration and involvement, right? We want people to know that everyone is welcome at NASCAR. And so to hear that from the leader of the organization, but not just to hear him talk about it, but to see that action just holistically across the board, that's what got me at NASCAR. And of course, I knew what I can do with an amazing team around me. There were a lot of things we can do for Phoenix Raceway. And to be honest, Phoenix Raceway was already thriving, right? I get to come in and put my sprinkle on it. So it's just been an amazing thing. And it was really Steve Phelps that, if you will, sealed the deal. But there were so many others along the way. I mean, there have been so many people so gracious on the sports teams as well. How NASCAR functions. I mean, even Jeff Gordon, right? Being one of my first advocates and one of my first conversations with Jeff. And he's just, when the races are coming, I'll get a text message and he'll say, hey, thinking of you this weekend. If you need anything, let me know. And he means it, right? It's not just a random I'm talking. Everyone means that they want you to thrive, and they want you to be successful, because if I'm successful, then the sport is successful. If the raceway continues to thrive, then so does NASCAR, so does Team Penske, so does Team Hendrick, and so on. So it's just been a great thing.
My first experience with NASCAR was at Phoenix Raceway.
Yes.
It was a few years ago. I got a phone call from an organization called Honor and Remember.
Yeah.
And they honor Gold Star families.
Yes.
I'm a Gold Star brother.
Yes.
And they said, we honor families. Would you come be our guest at the race? I said, I'd love to. So I went. And when I got there, I said, so how many families? And they said, oh, no. Just you.
That's it.
And I started to tear up.
Yeah.
And it was such a, they took me into the driver's meeting.
Yeah.
I was introduced at the driver's meeting.
Yes.
One of my favorite Arizona senators is John Kyle, who I know is a super fan.
Yes.
But to be in that time, that space was such a big day. They treated me and my family, I was by myself, as far as I was the only family member, but they made my family feel significant. That when they say, it's one thing to say we have somebody in the crowd today. Yeah. They treated me spectacularly that day.
Yes.
And that for me was, man, this is when you go all out, you go all out.
Yes.
And I thought that was amazing, that patriotic, we want to say thank you to a family. They didn't have to go to the extent they did, but it was an incredible day.
Yes, I love that. I love to hear that because that's the experience and we still do that, right? And like you said, we are very intentional about making sure it's, yes, we want to celebrate multiple families, but what we want is we invited you to come into our home and we want you to feel celebrated for something so significant. Right? And we want you to be recognized and truly, enjoy the experience. There's nothing like a NASCAR experience. And that's something that we still do. And whether it's Gold Star families or just guests, special guests that we have, we are going to treat them. If they're taking their time to come out to fight the traffic, come out to NASCAR and really be there with us, we're going to make sure that they have an experience that they remember for a lifetime.
What I love about NASCAR, and because I'll be honest, I am a casual fan, but I watch the races. But I don't know the point system and the teams and the rules like a lot of people do. But the experience for me is a fantastic experience. And I think for any sport, you have those casual fans that need to feel they're a part of it as well. I moved to Arizona in 1995 for the sport of rodeo.
Oh.
And so I've watched the foundation of the professional bull riders, the PBR.
Yep.
And they have been compared to NASCAR at NASCAR its infancy.
Yeah.
The trick for them, the difficulty for them is how do you maintain your core fans that love that sport, but open it up to the casual fan.
To others, yep.
You seem like NASCAR seems like they've met that challenge and, at least for me, exceeded expectations because it is massive.
Yes, it is massive. So really quick, I got a circle on PBR. It's my dream to have PBR integrated with NASCAR at one of our NASCAR races, whether March or November. So some way, somehow, I'm having a rodeo during a race weekend. So I'm putting it out there now, and you have to be the first person there because it's going to I don't know how it's going to happen. There's so many people out there at once, and we got a safety, all those types of things. But who doesn't love a rodeo? And to put a rodeo together with NASCAR during a NASCAR event, I'm just putting it out there right now.
You are speaking my language right now.
Yes, I'm just
don't tease me with this because I'm getting really excited.
No, I'm telling my team, as soon as I started at NASCAR, I'm one of those people that I have, all these ideas, and we talked community. I am very focused on community, things like that, but I want to integrate that, and it's called Phoenix Raceway for a reason, right? PBR is national. There's so many things, but who in Arizona doesn't love a rodeo?
Right.
And so you can put those two things together. And so my team is always like, we have got to get her this rodeo. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. So anyway, I just had to circle on that.
I know the people at Rodeo Scottsdale and the people at the Cave Creek Rodeo. And when you go to those, they ask, all the time the announcers are asking, who's first time at a rodeo? Yeah. And you get a significant number of people every year that raise their hands. And it's got to be that way at NASCAR.
Yes.
But what's terrific about it is the experience, and it's hard to describe to people. Yeah. Even I couldn't describe it after I was there, and I do this for a living. The ability to feel when there's a yellow flag, and the cars regroup, and they come around that turn and they get the green flag. Yeah. When you're sitting in the grandstands, there is a feeling that you just cannot describe. Yes. That it is something that has to be felt at least once in your life.
Yes, I 100% agree. So
does it ever get old?
It does not get old. I say, when each of the races start, of course I'm down there, I'm on the grid, and I have a certain spot, right, that I stand, which you're not there's only certain people that can stand there,
right.
Of course, right? And so, but it just does not get old. Like, and I take my earplugs out. I do not recommend this to those at home. Never take your earplugs out while you are on, but the feeling, the vibration of your body, just all that. I get like chills every time, like the cars go, every time they start. And so, no, it does not get old. It's just a feeling that it's undescribable. And when people, you mentioned first timers, when first timers come to the race, they're like, you tried to describe it, but you really couldn't describe that amazing feeling that they felt.
When I was there, I don't know if I'm getting anybody in trouble by telling you this, but when I had infield passes.
Yeah.
They took, I got the whole experience. Yeah. One of the teams was flying the Gold Star flag.
Yeah.
So they allowed me to go right up to the barrier.
Yes.
in the pit.
Yes.
So I was actually as close as I am to you, maybe even a little closer.
Yes.
During the first pit stop.
Yes.
To watch the coordinated effort and how those teams work together. I think that's the part of NASCAR that the true fans get that we don't, is what is happening to make that car do what we're watching it do.
That's right.
The team ahead of time, the tires and the fuel and the everything. It's incredible. Everything. And to watch them work as a team that quickly.
Yes.
And it was incredible to watch.
Yes, it's an amazing thing. One of the first things I did when I started at NASCAR is all of our race teams are in North Carolina. And so I went to North Carolina and I was at Team Trackhouse. And so they were having Combine Day for their pit crew members. And so in my mind, I'm a football person. And so I'm thinking Combine, like, what are they doing, right? It can't really be like a Combine, right? Oh, no. Yes, they are out there. They are so physical. They have to be in shape. Like you said, they have to work as one unit.
Yeah, team.
In order for the driver to be safe, in order for their driver to win, in order for the machine to go. There's so many elements that go into that. I could have watched them all day, just really as they're out there, like you said, seconds in order to change a tire, seconds in order to put gas in a car. Again, all of that safely and in that moment. So,
and the access, what was crazy is we were walking around and I was able to go into the different places with the tires, and they were showing me the new tires and how they work and explaining it to me, which I was interested in. Yeah. But then as we were walking around the garages where they were working on the cars, the crew was saying, take a picture if you want. Just don't take a picture of the engine.
Yep.
But you could walk up to the car while they're getting ready for a race. They wanted interaction with the public. It is fan access. I know I'm talking about other sports too. Hockey is so good at that.
Yeah.
Spring training here in the Valley where the player access to the fan, where they know that there are kids looking for autographs. Yeah. But this is every day on race day for you guys.
Every day on race day. That is what makes our sport different.
It's
right?
incredible.
It's an incredible thing is that you have full access. So literally when people talk about their favorite driver, you will, if you have access to the infield, you are 99.9% sure to see your favorite driver. Right? They're going to be there because their car is there. All you have to do is go to their garage, and it is their garage, right? It's not like a show. That is where their cars are. That's where their teams are, like you said. And we do want people to be able to have full access to all of that and take photos and do whatever you want.
They're trucks.
Yes.
So you see the trucks lined up with the teams. And if I saw a family walking around and they were pointing out to the truck, and I don't know if it was the driver, who it was, but somebody got out of the truck and had pictures for the kids.
Yes.
I mean, they think of everything to make the fan experience. Those kids will never forget that.
Never.
And for what would seem like this is the culmination of a week's work. This has been a lot of work for us.
Yes.
This is race day. We've got to focus. To be able to hand a kid a picture, to take photographs with families, it really blew me away with the access they have.
Yes, and you have access to the driver up until the moment they get into their car.
Right.
So when they go, and their car, like you said, if you're down there, you're on the grid, you are on pit road, you are any of those
We
areas.
were watching them push the cars onto the track.
Yes, and you can talk to the driver all the way until that point. Sometimes you'll see us all, you'll see leaders within NASCAR going around giving, the drivers in the car, and we're giving them high fives and things like that. That's just the access that fans have, that everyone has to their drivers that are just right there. And again, that's something that is unique to NASCAR and something that NASCAR has always done and will continue to do.
Doesn't Michael Jordan own a team?
He does. He owns the 2311 team.
So you've got Michael Jordan, you got Gibbs, Joe Gibbs. So you have people that are superstars. I will make the argument Michael Jordan's the greatest ever.
Yes.
But you're talking about someone elite in his sport. You've got Gibbs, same thing, Super Bowl wins, elite in his sport, that they want to be a part of this sport.
That's right.
What is it?
That's exactly right. I mean, there's so many great things about NASCAR and the ability to be, within NASCAR and to be a driver, to be a part of a team, to be a team owner. And Michael Jordan is in there. I mean, it is not, he's not a silent, if you will, person, partner, if you will. Now, he comes out there and he's like any other fan. I mean, he's there at the races. He shows up for his team. I mean, when you see him on TV, it's for real. He really is out there, engaging in the sport, and he's all in. He will have his headphones on during the race so that he knows what's going on with his drivers, all of those things. And that's something that's unique as well to our sport. You can rent race control earphones and all of those types of things in order to tune in to your favorite driver. So if you wanted to tune in to one of the 2311 drivers, Tyler Reddick or Bubba Wallace, right, if you wanted to to tune in and hear what they're saying with their spotter, you can do all of that. You know exactly what they're saying. I don't always say it's rated for kids. Because
I'm glad you made the clarification.
Yeah, sometimes it is. You just never know. Depends on how great they're doing.
But imagine being in an NFL game and listening to the coaches.
Yes.
I mean, it's that.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Strategy, everything. Again, your spotter, your team, everyone is talking through. Everybody can hear it.
Yeah. Who was the driver that said, "I'm just going to put my foot on the floor until I either see the checkered flag or Jesus"? Wasn't that a comment recently?
I mean, I don't know who said it, but I have heard that has been said. I don't know I'm not sure who said it.
But that added, I think that's part of what we love in anything, even if we don't know if you don't know anything about the sport of bull riding, but you watch somebody overcoming what you think is insurmountable odds and death-defying in the sense of they're not letting go. They are going to will themselves to win. Yeah. NASCAR, when you watch those races, how close they are to the wall, how close they are to each other, and the television is fun to watch, but it doesn't do justice to how fast those cars are going and how quickly it can go sideways.
Agreed.
And they're just on fire. I mean, these guys are relentless.
They really are relentless, and they are going, and it goes until the very end, right? I mean, you have no idea what is going to happen until the end of the race, right? Anything could happen. Somebody could get bumped, somebody's tire could, anything, right? And I mean, you could have there could be a lead for the entire, 300 laps, over 300 laps, right? And then at the very last lap, they're in the back, right? I mean, you just never know. And that's what makes it so thrilling is that, it could be really, honestly, anything could happen along the way.
And how we were, one of the things I watched, and I have so much I want to talk to you about, so I got to hurry, but we were sitting so we were in the pit row. We got to watch the first pit change, and then we went under the tunnel and up into the bleachers. Yes. We were probably 50 yards past the checkered flag. Yeah. Great seats.
Yes. Oh, good.
The fans yelling at a driver going so fast they can't hear them, but they were so into it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then yelling at each other in a fun way, but the rivalries between drivers and fans. Yes. But to see these cars coming around the turn and drivers screaming at these cars, and we're laughing because there's no way but they're just so into it.
No, it's the passion, right? Yes. They're so passionate about it, and like you said, from the previous week to the race that they're at, if these two drivers got into it over the weekend or anything, right? Oh, that really gets them going in the crowd. Like you said, it all in fun. Everybody has just such a great time out there, but they are definitely yelling the moment the car turns on, and as soon as they see them go around, they're yelling.
So I want to talk a little bit about you. Growing up here in Arizona and being involved in the world now of sports, everyone I've talked to in the sports world that hosts, it is important to them that the fan experience, the Fiesta Bowl and these others, the fan experience is number one. But you're from here. Yeah. What does it mean to you now to watch the place you grew up in be such a destination for business and industry and sports and fans and vacationers? Yeah. What's that mean to you? Well,
it's an amazing thing. I will say it is always number one for our fan. The fan experience is always at the top of our list. The thing about Arizona that makes it so special is that it's always a good time to be in Arizona, right? Even in the summer. There's so many amazing things that you can do and that you do out here in our market. And the collaboration collaboration. I've never seen anything like the collaboration like we do here within this community. You mentioned Eric Moses, right?
Yeah.
But, when I came into this role, I was fortunate enough to, like you said, I'm from here. I've been a huge community member for a very long time. But I have had someone from every sports team attend my races over these. I've been now for almost 3 years. Even, Michael Bidwell came to my last race in March, and,
great guy.
Great guy. Mr. Bidwell came, and I was thinking, you can come when, whatever time you want. It's long, it's a long day. No, he came early and stayed until he was in victory lane where I was at the end of the race. And so, again, that support means the world to me, and it's such an important thing. Again, when he came out there, he was just looking at the amount of people that were there, and he's like, right now in this moment, you're bigger than some of the cities right now in this moment because of the amount of people that you have in this place. And so, again, the impact that we have on the economy here. And our fans come the Monday before a race and leave the Monday after. And so
the ultimate tailgate.
The ultimate tailgate, but we do also want them to get out and explore Arizona as well. And so we partner, like we just had spring training, right? So we partnered with the Cactus League, partnered with Bridget, did some ticket packages, and we wanted to make sure our fans knew, hey, spring training is going on right now as well. So get out, go hang out. If we're not racing, get out there and do something else, go hiking, go to the restaurants. We have we created, because I am an Arizona local girl, I wanted to create a book. We have for our campers and those individuals that are here, it's called The Chronicle, where we put like some of our favorite places and restaurants to go, things like that, all of the things that are nearby in the area, but also in Phoenix and Scottsdale and Tempe. We want people to experience and explore our state.
I did a ride. The mayor of Glendale does a ride. He calls it his Big Dog Run every year, and it raises money for military, for veterans charities. Yeah. And so we got to do, you ride through State Farm Stadium, that kind of. Well, the year I did it, we got to do a lap.
Oh, cool.
At the raceway.
At the raceway, yeah.
On our motorcycles.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
That was, I don't care what you've ever been able to do.
Yeah.
Until you're there and looking out at the enormity of that, and then picturing that filled wall to wall with people.
Yep.
It is an incredible place, and the backdrop of the mountains. It is one of the most gorgeous. When you go to ASU, when you go to the stadium, Mountain America Stadium, cut into that mountain. It is, you can't.
Yeah.
Same thing though with you. That geography, that view is amazing.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. Sometimes I just stand out there and like as the sun is setting at times, or sometimes the sun is rising, you're just like, wow, this is just such a beautiful place and space to be. And you can almost stand anywhere and just feel it. But like you said, back in 2018, Julie renovated the raceway and really wanted it to have the Arizona feel, really wanted you to be able to see where we were, which is why when you're in the grandstands, you can see, right? You can see the fields, you can see what's going on around you versus it being all closed in. You want to still be able to feel what's happening at Phoenix Raceway. And so it is very special and a very unique space.
Odd question I just thought of. You ever get starstruck? You ever have somebody show up at a race and you're just thinking, oh my gosh?
No, I haven't yet. And I don't know who would like actually make me starstruck. The crazy thing is, there's so many people that come to NASCAR. And again, I mentioned Daytona, and I go around to various races, Talladega. I've been all over the place. Miami.
I can name a few.
Yeah, yes.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd get starstruck. I've seen Mike Tyson before.
See, I'm jealous because I would be starstruck. Gordon Ramsay?
I haven't seen Gordon Ramsay. I haven't seen Gordon.
I think that would be. I just wonder because being in your position, I would say the Michael Bidwell visit shows that he respects how much work goes into that race day. Yeah. And for the person that wins that race, what that team had to go through to accomplish that, for him to want to experience that with all those people.
Yes.
I want to ask about your community service, though. Yeah. You were with USAA.
Yes.
So you've worked around that environment for such a long time. The Boys and Girls Club piece of it, we were talking before we turned the cameras on.
Yeah.
It makes me kind of well up a little bit I was at an event. I was first on their campus, and then we did a shopping event. The impact you have on young people.
Yeah.
the positive influence that they might not have other than their time with you.
Yeah.
It's got to mean a lot.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I have and really the positions, the places, spaces that I've been put in. And of course, I've worked for them. But to be able to show up and then give back to the community, I just 2 weeks ago, I spoke at Youth of the Year for the Boys and Girls Club. And I was sitting there and I was listening to the youth and listening to their stories and the things that they have been through and just their young age, right? Some of them 16, 17 years old, of course, dealing with things like death, dealing with things like, being raised by non-traditional, mother and father, and grandparents are taking care of them, or siblings, or some other family took them in, right? There's so many stories. There were a couple of them that were near death themselves. I mean, so many things. And so to be able to shed a light, to spend any time with kids at the clubs, it fulfills me more than anything. And I feel like it's my obligation to be able to give back. I was a club kid growing up.
You were?
Yes, I was. I was in the West Valley. I went not too long ago to tour the club that I was part of. And I was in there and I was watching the kids. I overstayed my welcome that day. I started and I was supposed to be gone before the kids arrived, just based on timing, not because I needed to leave, but based on timing, I was supposed to be gone. But I was there so long. I was having such a great time, and the kids were rolling in, and they were skipping in as they were coming in. They were all excited. And so finally, by the time I left, I get outside to the sidewalk, and there's this little girl, and her mom had come pick her up, which literally she had just got there, and she's crying. And the mom is like, "What is wrong with you?" She's like, "You picked me up too early." She didn't have time to hang with her friends at the club. And so it lets you know, like, to be in that place, they feel comfortable, right? They feel confident. They feel like they're having a great time. It's something that they look forward to after school or whenever they're there. It's just something that they want to do. So to be in a place where you're like, usually kids are like, "Oh my God, I can't wait till my parents pick me up." Meanwhile, she's like, you got here too quick.
When you have that, I think the compliment that I see the most is to see the numbers of people that have been successful in their lives that go back to the Boys and Girls Club and credit that program with stability and with encouragement and helping them achieve maybe what they wouldn't have otherwise.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest compliment, is giving kids that may not necessarily know what hope means yet. Hope.
Yeah, hope. That's exactly right. It just gives them hope. And there's always someone at the Boys and Girls Club that gives them a chance. And that's all they want. It's just for someone to listen to them, give them a chance to try something. It doesn't mean that, as they're 5 years old, they're going to give them a chance to, be the president of a raceway. But it means that they are going to open up doors and provide them that confidence, right, that they need in order to get to that place and to that space. And so I'm honored to be on the board at the Boys and Girls Club. I just signed up to be on the trustee board as well. So I will always give my time to the Boys and Girls Club because I firmly believe in the work that they do.
It is such an admirable organization.
Yes.
What about your time with USAA?
Yes. USAA is a phenomenal organization. I spent almost 14 years at USAA. That is what taught me true servant leadership. I mean, I will be forever grateful for my experience there. I mean, obviously, as it supports, the military, their family members. I'm a USAA member only because I worked there, and I'll never give it up, right? I mean, because of the service that you receive, the training. I mean, I have people at USAA that will be family forever, right? It's just how it's just the environment and how it was created. And they're just still such a great organization. It was very hard for me to leave that, but I mean, I knew it was time, and I knew I needed to fill a bigger purpose.
But it seemed like reading through your biography, it seems like you have collected so many important attributes along the way that you've left places better than you found them, but you've also taken things on to the next thing that you're going to do and made that better because of the experience you had the time before.
Absolutely. I always tell people, especially young people, when you question yourself about like the experience that you have or like what you've been through, I always say all of those experiences, all of those opportunities are just preparing you for the next thing, right? That's all that they're doing. And so whether good or bad, you're learning about what you've learned something along the way. And so apply it to what you're you're doing in your future. And certainly, I'm a firm believer in not burning any bridges. So any organization that I have been with, they've all been very supportive. They come to the races, right? The folks, leadership and teams at USAA and other organizations. Right before I went to the Raceway, I was at Bell Bank. Bell is a phenomenal community bank. They have been beyond supportive. Their owner and CEO has been out from Fargo, North Dakota, came to championship weekend. And so, again, I just always want to be in a place where I am leaving my impact and make people feel good. It takes nothing for us to be kind to individuals. And so I think that when you have that at the premise of who you are, you will leave an impact no matter what.
What was the key for you? Because you have changed industries,
Yeah.
not just jobs. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of people will grow in an industry,
Yes.
but you've jumped from one to the other. What was it that attracted you to each of those positions? What was it that made you want to be at a bank
Yeah.
or USAA, now NASCAR? What is it about those challenges?
Yeah, I will say this challenge, it was never on my card, right? To say, oh, I'm going to one day do this, right? That was not on the card to say I was going to be the president of
So it's not in your yearbook that you wanted to be a NASCAR employee?
It's not in my yearbook at all. I hadn't even in my yearbook. I hadn't even been to a NASCAR race,
Okay.
right? I didn't go to a NASCAR race until I met Julie Giese, who was there at the raceway. And so I will tell you, I almost shut the opportunity down before I even considered it. Julie was leaving to go to Chicago. The irony here with Julie and I, we met on a women's panel at the Business Journal. Ray Shea knew her already, and he reached out to me and said, Julie needs girlfriends, and a community leader that can help her build her connections. And so that's really my intent. And as I was doing that for Julie, because I really wanted her to be successful, she was the first woman to run the raceway. Doing that, I didn't know at the time, but she was going to rebuild the raceway, right? She didn't need capital. She wasn't doing like a capital campaign. She just needed support, right? From the community, let people know that, hey, I'm going to put all this money into the raceway. You got to come and you got to show up, right? And so I was doing that only to support her. And so I went to my first NASCAR race to support Julie. And so I went to all of her races while she was here. And I never, ever considered, Mike, the opportunity to work at the raceway. I thought she would be here forever. Honestly, it would have been great because I loved her so much. The great news now is that we get to work even closer together. But, for me, when she called, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. Like, I've never worked in sports. Like, I don't know anything about NASCAR. And so it took my husband to say, like, hey, listen, you mentor all of these young people. When would there ever be a time that you would tell them to shut the door on an opportunity before they even consider it? And, I hate it when he's right.
I was going to say.
Oh, God. And then I had to tell him he was right. I was like, oh, dear Lord. So we prayed about it. And I really, that's when I really went through that exploration process. And it has been one of the best career decisions that I have made. Now, it is no joke working in sports. I will tell you that. Your schedule is not your own. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of careers and industries that are a lot of work, but this is way different than all of them that I've been in.
So you mentioned, I hope this isn't too personal, the question. You mentioned your family and you mentioned prayer.
Yes.
We've had some great conversations with people here about faith. How much of a role does that play in your decision making?
Everything. Everything. I mean, we're a very faith-based family. Everything that I do, everything that we do, we pray about everything. My kid, that's the foundation of my kids. That's how I grew up. My father-in-law is actually a pastor in Las Vegas, and so it's just who we are. But we know that we get through all things, right, through Christ, and we know that as well. We pray about all things. Everything doesn't go exactly according to your plan, but we know it's according to God's, and so it's something that it's just who I am, and it's the foundation of who I am, and that's what helps me in making these decisions.
And it's interesting when you talk to people about it, about their faith, and I feel exactly like you do. Mm-hmm. Trying to explain to someone who isn't necessarily there, that doesn't have the same feeling, when you endure things like my family endured when I was younger, I feel I don't know how people get through such a difficult time without faith. Yep. And for you, I can't, maybe you feel, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but how do you make a major life-changing decision? It's almost like throwing a dart at a dartboard if it's not based in prayer.
That's it. If you don't have again, for me, for us, right? That's what works for me and for us and our family. And I know that I couldn't just throw a dart, and I know that it wouldn't work, right? For just the nature of who I am, it just wouldn't work if I had nothing else to believe in. And it's hard because it is a balance, right? You want to make sure that people will get to their religion in the way that they want to and when they want to, right? But I always, if I'm ever going to tell my story, I authentically tell it, and God's at the center of all those things for me. And so I tell that to people. And the great thing about NASCAR as well, we pray all the time. And so when you went to the drivers meeting, there was prayer, right? Was prayer. And so I think that also, when I went to my first NASCAR race and I went to the drivers meeting with Julie, and I thought, oh my God, they're like praying out loud with everyone in this room, right? And everyone is there. And we do that before pre-race as well. It's just part of our sport. And so that's the other thing that I love about our sport as well, is that, faith is there whether you want it or not. We're praying about it.
And what's great about it is they don't expect you to behave like them.
Yeah.
But they're unashamed of saying, this is who we are, and God's at the center of this.
Yes.
We're going to pray about this. You're welcome to join us.
Yep.
Or welcome to watch us.
Yes.
But we're going to do it. It's not confrontational, which I love more than anything.
No.
That it's more of an offer than it is
That's right.
a command or a demand.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's just part of who we are. We're not going to, like you said, we're not going to ask for permission, because it's just who we are. And so we're going to do it, and you partake in the way that you think's best for you.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think America is starved for that kind of acceptance. What I mean by that is standing up and be authentically who you are.
Yeah.
And not expecting you to be like me, but you have to accept who I am.
That's right.
This is who I am.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly it. Like you said, you're not authentic if you don't feel like you can be in a place or a space where you can just show up, like you said, as who you are. And that's what I love so much about NASCAR is, we get to show up exactly who we are. My environment in Phoenix Raceway, my team, I tell them all the time, hey guys, we cannot be successful if you're scared to be you. And take risks. Like, let's do things. Like, let's make it happen, right? We're not all the same, and that's a good thing.
So you mentioned you were talking about what's next for people, the next opportunity. I'm not talking about changing jobs, but what's next for Phoenix Raceway? What is your next challenge?
Yeah, well, it's always a challenge to make sure that people keep coming back to Phoenix Raceway. And so for us, we want to continue to create great experiences. Some of the things that I have implemented along the way since I've been here in the last 3 years is just doing more local things, more involving more local. We created like Viva La Fiesta. It's something that we created on my first race weekend, which really celebrating the Hispanic culture. We had lowriders, and we have a partnership with Sophisticated Few. Cars are cars, and there's nothing more special than a custom lowrider, which I'm an Arizona girl, so clearly I love lowriders. But they've been super supportive, been at all of our races. They'll be back for championship as well, but also having like mariachi bands and, folklorical dancers, all of those types of things as well, like during our race weekends. We've also implemented, we talked a little bit about the community. I've really wanted to open it up to the community, invite people who've never been before. And so we've done things like this past race weekend. It's our second annual STEM Day, where we had about 500 kids from Title I schools.
Oh, wow.
That came for a field trip program where we just integrate STEM and motorsports. But then what we do is we invite them to come back. So the STEM day was on Thursday, and then they get to come back to the race on Saturday with an adult. And for the first year we did it, I was like, the take rate, maybe 20%. I don't know. I was thinking something low. No, it was over 60%. People really were interested, and they wanted to come back. The kids loved it. It was the same thing this year as well. We had over 60% of the folks that actually showed up and wanted to come. And I'm sure that probably 90% of them, maybe even 95% of them, it was their first time ever at a NASCAR race. And so really creating unique things like that for people to want to come and be at the raceway. But then doing experiences, I talked PBR. And so really being able to do experiences like that. We partnered last year with Chicken and Pickle. Chicken and Pickle was new to the West Valley. Right away, we partnered with them. We had a pickleball court at our race last year. So again, just doing things like that that, make people want to come back. Also food, right? We got to get, we have great partners with Levy as our food and beverage partner, but we're always looking for local individuals to partner up with us as well, and to be available in our campground. Again, for our fans that are there for a whole week, we try to create unique things out there as well.
Yeah, and it's turned into watching it grow. There used to be a rodeo arena out there in Avondale. I don't think it's still there.
Yeah.
It was the Estrella, but they call it Estrella, the park.
Okay.
And they used to buck bulls there once a week.
Oh, okay.
And so we'd make trips out there back then that was way out in the West Valley.
Yeah.
But a lot of that kind of got absorbed by the housing and the development, but it still has that Western feel, and it still has that small town feel when you go out there. And I like it. It's difficult to replicate that feeling of a city within a city. Yeah. And I think you do an excellent job the times I've been out there of people go and they're there for the week.
Yes.
But they feel like they're a part of something. It's a community. It's not individual RVs that are out there.
No.
They're a part of a community.
They are, and it's generational. They have been there forever, right? I mean, when I go out there, I love being in the campground. My poor security is like, oh Lord, here we go again. I'm like, I love being out here. This is like the best thing to integrate and hang out with our fans. Is an amazing thing.
But isn't it? It's different than other sports. So
100%.
You go. I grew up in the South.
Yeah.
So I'm not an SEC fan. I'm a Miami Hurricane.
Yeah.
But when you go to SEC football.
Yeah.
There's two teams.
Yeah.
And you're tailgating for one team or the other.
Yes.
You go in your parking lot, you've got all these drivers and all these fans flying their flags.
Yes.
And sometimes they've got multiple flags because they're a team fan versus, but you have all these, and it's a rivalry, but it's a fun rivalry.
Yeah.
And it makes for such a fun-spirited time.
Yes.
It's incredible.
It really does. When one of my first races, I was like, I want to get out there. Like out there, right? I don't want to just go on the asphalt, right? Like right when you're getting out. I want to get in there. I want to see what's happening and what's going on. I mean, I saw a little of everything. I mean, people are, they've created and they work together. Like they've been coming forever. Like that's their time to see each other, right? Like, so maybe somebody lives in Arizona, somebody lives in Colorado, somebody lives in Utah, right? And they're like, okay, but we're all coming together here at Phoenix Raceway and we're going to have a week-long, like you said, party, a tailgate, right? And you have the person that brought the carne asada or the person that brought the hot dogs or whatever it is. I mean, you have bars that are going on out there. I mean, you have so many things happening.
And you make lifelong friends.
Lifelong friends. And so, and again, they don't give up their RV spaces. I mean, once they get them, and if somebody else leaves, then they take they buy the one next to them. And so it's just a really, really, really cool experience. And again, they are some of our most loyal. There's been people out there for well over 30 years that have just been coming out there consistently for every race.
All right, so the last idea, I'm going to throw an idea at you. We gave you the PBR idea, at least talked about it. You've had the idea.
Yeah.
What about WWE?
Yeah, yes. WWE is also something that WWE, UFC, any of those, any of those opportunities. I think UFC, because it's so massive, WWE is massive too. I think it will be hard during a race weekend because of the spacing of being able to watch it. However, we're open to all of those things. Like I said,
but I love that you think outside of the box that way and realizing that these are fans that work together.
Yes.
Because there are so many in the weird radio business. It used to be you don't say the name of another radio station while you're on the air.
Yeah.
And, well, they know they exist.
Yes.
And they're listening. We share a space.
That's exactly right.
I love that mindset.
Yes, we share a space. One of the first things, my team was like, what can we do? I'm like, the sky's the limit on what we can do. Okay.
That's amazing.
They're like, okay. So we had NASCAR night at the D-backs, right? And so, which was an amazing thing. We're going to do it again this year. It's going to come up in September.
How great is Derek Hall?
Oh, amazing. The whole D-backs team is truly just amazing. We had our first D-backs night, and that is when they went to the World Series. I'm not saying that they went because of us. I'm just saying we were a part of that good luck charm, right? And so that happened to be when they went to the World Series. It was during our championship week as well. And so, as I was getting interviewed by the media during that week, they're like, oh my God, isn't this not a great thing that, the D-backs are, at the same time? Like, no, it's an amazing thing. It just brings that many more people out here. We were sold out at the time, but I'm like, hey, they know now that NASCAR is here as well, and they know that we're supporting them, and it's just a great thing. I mean, if all of our sports teams thrive, it's an amazing thing to have so many professional sports teams in one space. We'd love to have hockey back, but it's nice to have every sports team here.
It is. Everybody told me I was going to love meeting you,
and
it was much better even than they You exceeded expectations, and they set the bar really high. We do these podcasts because of stories like yours. We know the race exists. We know that there are people in charge of putting it on. But I don't know everyone we've talked to. Derek has been here. Michael Bidwell has been on the podcast. So we've talked with the leaders in sports and industry. We've had Eric here. All of you are so community-oriented. All of you are such good people, and you work so hard for your community. It is a business, but you work hard for the community, and I really appreciate you telling the story because I think the more that people learn about you, the more they're going to be blown away that people really – it's not just ticket sales and money. It is a business, but it's about this community and how we can be better and how you add to this community. And I love it. I love the story.
Well, thank you. And I'm so glad that I got to come here and be with you as well. And I love that you're telling the community stories, right? Because that's all it takes is for people to know what's out there, what exists, who exists, and that we're here. And we're here to be great community partners. So I really appreciate you having me.
We haven't asked this before. Maybe we should have done this on some of these later podcasts. If people want to learn more about Phoenix Raceway, your community involvement, your goals and races, is there a website? Is there what's the best way for them to learn more about you?
Yes, I always say phoenixraceway.com. Definitely want to go there. But also follow us on social media as well. Phoenix Raceway on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those things. And we post all the things that we're doing, all of our activities that are coming up. We do a ton of community things. Like you said, you talked about driving around the track. We do track laps for charity. We have Phoenix Raceway Charities. And so all of the money that we get, you pay $30, you get 5 laps around the track in your own vehicle. And not a lot of people know about that. And so we like to advertise that. We usually do it in the fall before
I'd be so scary on that track.
No, it's paced. We make sure you don't go.
Okay, see, then that's a little different.
Yeah, we make sure you don't go too fast because we don't want anybody to get hurt. But again, it's an experience. Who gets to drive on the track, right? It's an experience.
And from someone that's gotten to do it, it is a cool experience.
It's a really cool experience.
And to experience the turns, you see it.
Yeah.
But when you're actually on the track and you imagine doing 200 miles an hour.
Yes.
It's pretty incredible.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Not a lot of people realize the incline that's on there, right? And all of those types of things. People, when you're looking at it, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, no. Get in the car and you realize that it is not flat. So people do enjoy it. And
have you been in a car?
Yeah.
On the track?
So everyone always asks me that question. I have driven my own car. I've driven a pace car. I've driven all those things. But I have not gotten in with a driver or the NASCAR driving experience. So I have not done that. Why not? I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that yet.
Do you know how badly I want to do that?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. I mean, well, you know someone, so we could get you out there.
Again, I drive on the 101, so I'm... That's as close as I've been.
That's as close.
But I give it my best.
Yes. Well, and I'm in the West Valley, so I drive on the 10. So I'm not driving fast at all.
No, you're not. But you guys do live by the motto "Rubbin's racing" out there on the I-10. It's pretty intense.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
These podcasts are just for this reason. Stories from right here in the state of Arizona. This is an Arizona native. In an Arizona institution over at Phoenix Raceway. And we are so lucky to have you here today. And I hope they'll check out the other podcasts. But I would love to hear feedback because I think people are going to love this.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Amazing Arizonans, presented by Resolution Copper. Tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.